Okay, so this is my first time recording a video. I will be doing a tier list of Library Ruina's object art pages. I will let you know, in my opinion, this is my opinion, people, what I think to be the best gold pages in the game. Everyone already knows what the best gold pages are, but this is my personal opinion based on the cards, their abilities, and this is not taking into consideration passive attributions or builds or anything like that. It's just everything that's on the gold page by itself. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. Also, before I get started, sorry, if y'all like this format of me actually recording videos and actually doing this, I'll try and do more of them. I know normally I only stream and upload my stream VODs to YouTube. So this will be a first for me. Let me know in the comments if you actually like the video. But let's go ahead and get started here. So, Mars. First boy you get. Mars, my boy. Normal, he's your first speed slot in the game. He's the first speed slot +1. So he's your first 2-dice boy. And his talent is kind of lacking, if I'm going to be honest. Like, it doesn't really do much. You're really only using him early game for these right here, the resistances. Him actually having normal resistances this early in the game is really amazing, in my opinion. But, I'm going to be honest. He has something that no other gold page has. And that is that he's A for animated. He's the only animated gold page in the entire fucking game. I know that Project Moon was saying they're planning on making everything animated, but they haven't yet, which means Mars is the only animated boy. Next, Olga. Discard. Let me talk about Discord as a mechanic. The only other Discard synergy in the game besides her office is the thumb. And the only thing the thumb gets is bonuses when they discard ammo. So, while Olga is really good early game, like really good, she kind of falls off faster than some of the other gold cards in my opinion. So, and this is like considering everything up until late game. Like, how good are you late game? Can I take you into late game? And for that, Olga's B. Or D. I'm gonna be honest, she falls off really hard. Like, I think she's useful for a couple battles after you get her, but she's also a waifu. Slightly. So, I think I'll keep her in B. I'm comfortable putting her in B. Now, Salvador. Salvador is great. I kind of wish that the Guardian effect would continue on through the game in each round, but I understand that when he was released, that would be really strong for the game, I feel. So let's look at his other things. He of course gets draw, well, speed die. Light of Daybreak, on successful hit, deal 1 to 2 stagger damage, the target has a burn. And inflict burn, you get 1 additional stack. All of these are really good. Burn is probably the strongest build type in the game, and while you can't really take him into late game stuff, his just the burn package for attribution is really good. Like, he's good for attribution. So he's at least B tier. Like, I'll probably be putting people that don't have good attributions down here, or at least don't have good unique cards, because I'll be rating them on the unique cards too. So next, Oscar. Oscar, Unrelenting. Unrelenting is a game, like, it's really good early if you're having trouble. But he also gets Pierce damage +1. Now, he gets a flat +1 to all Pierce, which is really good. He gets the damage bonus, he gets the die bonus, which is really what's important, is that he will roll +1 on all of his piercing dice. That being said, Unrelenting is just a nice little bonus for him, in my opinion. Like, you don't really need Unrelenting. Like, I think he's solid just with these, just because he's one of the few pages that naturally have a flat +1 to a type of die. That being said, I think he's still B tier, because while Unrelenting is really nice when you get him, late game, if you get staggered, they're going to be doing a lot more than 25 damage. Now, it does reduce all incoming damage to 25. It doesn't give him like a 25 extra HP, it keeps him at 1. But the problem is, late game, stuff like Roland and Zhao and stuff can hit you for a lot harder with their mass attacks if they get them off. So that being said, it still will help. Like I said, it's nice for attributions, but it's not something super crazy. Now, Eugen, the meme girl. She's a meme. She's here for memeing things. Look at this. 1 to 4. If natural roll is max and is 4 or higher, add plus 45 power. The natural roll is basically saying that none of the modifiers you put on Eugen matter for the roll. It's the base die roll. And when you look at everything else Eugen gets, restore 2 power, or 2 light, on using a 4 cost or higher. Deflect assault, free block die. Free +1 to every dice, basically. And whenever an ally dies, you get +1 strength and endurance for the rest of the act. Eugen, even though Eugen herself, like, gets wrecked by mass attacks thanks to the broken die that she has, she's such good meme potential. And even though I don't really use Eugen for memeing, she's the amount of times you go and look and see Eugen just booping a boy on YouTube is just too good not to put Eugen in S tier. Now next will be Bamboo-Hatted Kim. Now Bamboo-Hatted Kid was kind of added a little bit late into the game where I haven't actually been able to like use him a lot. And I said that I was like rating people on their own exclusive cards. And the only thing that Eugen has is Yield My Flesh and Declaim the Bones, which both are really good. Like, both are really good. And, like, the Slash Dice power +2 is so great. And once again, Unrelenting, the same thing that's on Oscar, is what really makes Bamboo-Hatted Kim good. Like, I've seen people take Bamboo-Hatted Kim to late game stuff just because of the bonuses he has. Like, it sucks that he doesn't have a Endured Staggered Resist, but he is easy A tier. Like, the only key in the map is a lack of HP. Like, God, he is so good in my opinion. Next, we have Philip. Philip's ego. Man, Philip is really fucking good. You burn people. You burn them to death. And when it comes to, oh, I need to move I'll move myself over here. Sorry, guys. I just realized I was blocking off the exclusive cards. Let me just go ahead and move myself a little bit. I need to just put myself right here. But when it comes to, Blazing Strike, the fact that it can only be used at emotion level 3 and above kind of puts me off from actually liking it too much. Like, it's really good to say, I'm not going to die or get hit by a certain die if that die that you're worried about is on the first part of the page. But otherwise, the fact that it doesn't have multiple die on the page, I'm not a big fan of the one-hit, one-person, big number kind of strategy. If I'm going to use something that has one die on the page, it better be a mass attack and it better be hitting everyone. But Blazing Strike, it does inflict 10 burn, which is really good with passive attributions later, but once again, I'm rating these on if you're just using the page by itself. And considering that as long as you have a burn on someone, you're inflicting +1 on your offensive die, when hit you inflict burn, and when you hit, you're inflicting more burn. The only thing I don't like is that it's 1 to 2 burn, so it's random. One thing I dislike is a random effects, because what you really want, in my opinion, is consistency. So, while you're consistently getting at least 1 or 2, it's always nice whenever you get the extra burn, but if you're banking on that extra burn for something to finish someone off, it can have a 50% chance to fail for you, which means, as much as I love it, it may not be the best, but I think it's a solid A tier, yeah. Like, usually you put Salvador inside of Philip, let's be honest. Now, Rose, however, is unfortunately a victim of the original way that passives and stuff used to work with percent chances and stuff. Because everything on Rose is a percent chance. Quantum Leap, if speed is 4 or higher, deal 13 bonus damage on something that's at 10% chance. So, while that's awesome, that 10% chance can... I've had bad luck. Refraction, on a successful hit, deal 13 bonus stagger damage at 5% chance. And Dimensional Sections, on a successful hit, deal 10 bonus damage at 10% chance. Now, technically, you have a 0.5, I think, % chance of all of these passives activating at the same time. But as I was saying, the 0.5% chance for all these things to activate is really great, but the problem is consistency. Like, you want a page to be consistent, and you want it to be able to operate how you want it to be operating. I'm like, when you get down to it, if you take out the inconsistency of Rose's page, she's just a +1 speed die page. And her special ability, Rip Space? Boy, Rip Space! It has at full charges, I will admit, it's super good. All die on this page gain +8 power. So that turns that into a 10 to 12 and a 11 to 13? Yeah, 11 to 13 on both the die, which is great. Like, it's really great, because especially since the last die gets a +2, so it actually goes to a 13 to 15. But the 0.01% chance for it to fail is still there. And let me tell you, my most popular clip right now on Twitch is it failing during the Tomari fight. So take my opinion on Rose with a grain of salt. That being said, thanks to the inconsistencies of Rose, I have to, and this is me saying that Rose is kind of waifu. Like, she really is. But C tier. Like, just very inconsistent for me. Like, she's basically legit just a speed die +2 purple page that randomly does a bunch more damage. And while that's not inherently bad, when you compare it to everyone else getting either bonus light gain, bonus damage in some way, and buffing the die, she just falls flat. Like, I would rather her give a +1 to charge cards, maybe, to dice on, as long as the page has charged, the charge text on the card, and it getting a +1, I think she would be so much better. But next is Nemo. No, actually, Dong Huan, grade 1 fixer. So, about this, for some reason, he's not carried over onto the tier list. Like, I've tried getting him on there like multiple times. But Don Juan is great. Speed die 3. Fervor. So, every offensive die gets +1. Harbor of Scars. Offensive dice on the first combat page the character uses each turn gets extra bleed damage. At emotion level 1, gain 1 protection and stagger protection at the end of the scene, and the amount increases to 2 at emotion level 3 and 3 at emotion level 5. That's great. And deal +3 damage against enemies with bleed. Everything in his kit synergizes. Like, toughness seems kind of out of place, but he's a 1v1 fight, so that's why he has that, so you don't nuke him in the 1v1 fight. And, the Rupture Wound combines a Carver of Scars and further, so you're doing... he does a lot of damage by himself. Like, he is honestly S tier. Like, I hate that I can't put him in the tier list, because it won't accept it, like I said. But God, he is S tier. He is S tier. He's easily S tier. Up here with Eugen for right now. Now next, my boy Nemo. I love Nemo as a character, don't get me wrong. The Emergency Reconstitution Protocol. Now remember, this is about attribution, so we can't take into Rabbit or R-Corp charge bonus to Trini. But that being said, he can get up to 50 bonus HP upon dying, and that's just really good. And as long as he uses emotion, he gets extra endurance, which buffs the cards that come with him. It's not his signature card like Energy Beam, but it buffs those cards, which is really good. And at emotion level 2, if he's using charge, he gains strength, which is also super good. Like, endurance and strength, that just feeds into everything that you could want, as long as you're using charge. Now, Energy Beam. I love Energy Beam. Now, the abilities mainly activate on the offensive card because it destroys the opponent's next offensive die. And considering it's a 13 to 21 to hit, you're getting rid of 2 die using it, which is really good. Now, later parts of the game, like against Lu Association, the Flaming Dragon Fist, you get to shut down Flaming Dragon Fist with Energy Beam 100% of the time. There's literally no way the 4 to 8 block die in the front of it can stop it. So, I think Nemo is pretty good overall, with nothing supporting him. So I'm not saying he's S tier, like he's not crazy, like he doesn't have any good bonuses to the die rolls, except for the +1 strength and +1 endurance that he'll be getting on using charge. Which requires, like, unlike other pages that give you flat bonuses, he has to be using resources to get those bonuses. So for me, I think that puts him in A tier, but not S tier, unfortunately. Now, next up, the first of the happy married couple, until we ruined it, Lowell. So Lowell, he's your first speed 3 that you technically get in the game. Super good. Super good. Speed 3 is amazing. A fighter that never retreats, he gains strength and endurance on raising his emotion level. And he has further increasing his damage with offensive die. The problem that I have with Lowell, comparing to other people that have speed 3, is that he doesn't have too many crazy passes to help him like deal damage. Now, I will say, when his emotion level rises and he gets the 1 strength endurance, that's really good. So that means at least 6 turns, he's rocking a +1 to strength and +1 to endurance. And then for his Forming Storm, it's technically the first non-ego mass attack you get in the game. Unfortunately, it feels kind of clunky to use, because it's 4 and light on the turn that you use it, so it's a 4 cost do nothing, and then it's another light next round to use the card. So altogether, you're doing 5 light, deal 8 to trainee, mass attack, individual on hit. Now the thing that does help it is that it's individual and not summation, which is really good. But once again, it feels lackluster once you get to the other mass attacks that characters get that aren't ego later on. And I get this is supposed to be the first thing the player gets. Like, don't get me wrong. And like, the only thing I don't like is like I would have been happy if they just increased the cost on it to 5, and then just let you use it without any of the drawback of having to wait 2 turns to use it. Now that being said, for the fight itself, if they did that, I would be big mad. Because just a mass attack like that coming out of nowhere would be annoying to deal with. But that being said, I do believe Lowell is high A tier, maybe S tier. Just because of the strength and endurance it gets. But the problem is, once you get to max, like, emotion, which doesn't really happen all that too much outside of realization in some of the late game fights, he kind of just becomes a further user with this 1 extra speed die. So that's why I'm putting him in A tier, not S tier. Now, Kalos. I wish so bad that Ruina Gold was exclusive. I get why it's not exclusive, because it's not a super crazy card, right? But it would make him feel more unique and more like a, like a mafia boss, which is what he is. Like, Thumb is based on the mafia. It would make him feel more like a mafia character if he actually was the only one that could use it, I feel. But of course, speed 3, game +1 at emotion level 3, instantly A tier just because of it, in my opinion. Ammo supply is really good. The boss's orders, saw the scene, will give 1 protection to 2 random allies, which is good for helping people tank through some stuff. And every 3rd offensive die gains +1 power, and after the 4th scene, all offensive guy gain +1. So, I think Kalos is really good. Like, I think he deserves to be an S tier. Or at least high A tier, along with Lowell. Actually, this is making me kind of reevaluate Lowell a little bit, because, like, I feel like this is so much better than what Lowell offers, because Lowell only buffs himself. Kalos gets to give out protection to everyone, and have all of his offensive die gain +1 power. I'll actually put him in S tier, like low S tier. I think since the strongest like teams you can have is one where everyone's buffing each other or is giving support somehow. Like, my most powerful teams usually have Jan and Nikolai in them just because they're constantly buffing each other. But I think a low S tier is good for Kalos. Next, Gloria. So, locked potential. Let me go ahead and get this out there. Locked potential, I love locked potential. Like, it goes with singleton so good, and it boosts the power of all die by 1. That being said, though, it feels like it takes forever to get, like, started up sometimes, depending on how bad your draws are. Like, you can get bad RNG and actually get the cards you need to get the light and the classing for the emotion that you need. But still good. And the thing is, easygoing breather on Gloria works at emotion level 2, which is, like, guaranteed within the first 2 or 3 turns for you to hit it. Now, it only does reduce the cost of a page by 1. And Eradication, unfortunately, is Summation. Which means it's not gonna hit all the time. Which is unfortunate considering all the work you have to go through to use it. A lot of the times, Eradication, you're using it to try and just poke at a lot of people and inflict feeble, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. But compared to the other 2 index members' goal pages, I feel like Eradication may be the weakest, even though it does have its uses in some fights, where a mass attack can destroy the opponent's die. So, as much as I love Gloria's design, because let's be honest, putting Gloria on anyone is hilarious, which gives her a few bonus points, I have to say that she may actually be kind of B tier. And, like I said, this is my opinion, guys. Y'all are free to roast me on my opinion all you want. But I believe she's high B tier, and that you just want to put easygoing breather on someone that has a lot of high cost cards. Oh my god. Fuck it up? Okay. But next is Hubert. Now, I like Hubert. He, of course, has the same thing as Gloria, with speed, normal speed dice, and locked potential. But breaking pressure in a class the opponent's offensive die lose 1 power. That's good. And then we have Decapitation, which has one of the coolest animations in the game. But it's a single target, and once again, I will say it's kind of a few points lost for me, just because of the fact that it's a single target attack that costs 4. Like, I can use 3 costs that deal just as much damage as this, and can inflict a bit of burn with it. While this does inflict 1 feeble and 8 bleed, which means the character would take a little bit of damage from getting hit again, I feel like it doesn't do enough. I feel like I'd want it to do, like, something more similar to Castigation, where maybe he gets a counter die. But at the very least, I feel like maybe they should inflict 1 more point of enfeeble, considering, yeah, it's literally him trying to decapitate the opponent, you know? I feel like it should do a little bit more. That being said, I do think I need to put him with Gloria in B tier, where I want him to do more, but he just doesn't do enough. Now next, the strongest of the index trio, Esther, which if I said that wrong, you're free to crucify me. He, of course, has speed, 3, which is super good, locked potential, good, and raging torrent. Every time you use 4 unique combat pages, he gets to draw. So that helps for card draw. And the thing is, Castigation actually gets a counter die with it, and you get to times the die on hit by 7, which is amazing. Now that being said, it doesn't actually go off of power increases, so strength and lock potential, which will increase this by 1 respectively, doesn't mean that he'll get the extra 7 damage to the damage and stagger rolls. But for single target attacks, like anything that rolls under 13, he's guaranteed to beat, thanks to the opponent's die losing the class and getting the power reduced by 12. So I, just because of the 3 speed, will put Esther in A tier, low A tier actually, because I feel like he doesn't do enough. Like, all the indexes feel like you need to, once again, this is me judging the cards by themselves, like judging the pages. All the index feels like you're supposed to take all the index parts and put it on someone else. Like, you take everything Hubert and Gloria has and you just put it on Esther and make Esther better. Which is a problem. Like, I get that they balance it around a passive attribution, and that's fine. But I want a good gold card to feel like it doesn't need much passive attribution. Which is where we get to Nikolai. Oh my god, I love Nikolai. Of course, speed 3. He gets the triple R suit, so extra charge. He can go all the way up to 20. The commander. As long as Nikolai is rocking 11 charge or more, 1 strength and endurance to all allies. That bonus is insane. And then you have finishing touch on top of it. And after using a comment page on a target, it marks them, and they take 50% additional damage and stagger damage from all attacks. And while you can only have 1 enemy marked, whenever you want to nuke something, Nikolai gets to say Control-Alt-Delete buy. And that puts Nikolai in, like, the top of S tier for me right off the bat. Next, we have Mio. And while I love Mio, it feels like Mio's prowess was made to be put in Gebura. And that sucks. Because while Mio doesn't run out of range pages, every time you lose 30 max HP, you get haste at the start of each scene, which is amazing. So at 10% HP, you're getting 3 haste. Plus the haste from the charge passive is 4. But that being said, you can still roll a 6, which feels bad, considering that most of Mio's stuff is speed-based. But when they make it up for that is Savage Mode, which gives a +1 to everything on Mio after he gets to use it. Plus, Feral Knives is a great AoE that inflicts a lot of bleed. So, while most people do run Mio on Gebura, by herself, she's still really good. Like, she's not the best out of the rabbits, but she's still better than one of the other rabbits. Like, by herself, I feel like she's the 3rd most powerful Aura Corp member. Which means I have to put her in middle A tier, probably. Because while she's good by herself, she's better as a passive. And that sounds bad, but Gebura exists. Unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunately, like I love Gebura, but Mio's job is to be a passive for Gebura. And next we have the weakest of the R-Corp, in my opinion, Rudolph. Yeah, getting 1 strength is great. And yeah, dealing extra stagger damage is great. And every time you recover from stagger, you gain 1 strength and endurance for the rest of the game. Like, the rest of the act is really great. But, late game, if you get staggered, more likely than not, you're fucked. Like, with how many mass attacks get used late game and stuff, unless you have, like, you have to dedicate to protecting Rudolph. Like, you really have to protect him if you want to actually make use of the Survivor passive. And Mind Crush, a lot of the times where Mind Crush rolls only 4 to 8, and while it does do a lot of stagger on hit, it actually ends up getting blocked by a lot of stuff. Like, in my experience of using Mind Crush, a lot of the time, the final die is the only one that hits, and that's just a 5 to 10 blunt damage to everything. And considering late game, everything has resistance to blunt because of how powerful it was early Urban Plague and Nightmare. Project Moon was like, everything was resistant. So, even then, it's not that great. I actually put Rudolph in probably the lowest ranking of any of the in-game stuff, besides something you'll see later on, and put him like low, actually C tier probably. No. He at least has good HP and good resistances, so like, right here, like I put him right here. I think that's good for me. That's good for me. So next, Puppeteer, Iori. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's look at this. This is one of the 3 that'll carry you through late game, by the way. One of the 3 big pages that you can put on any floor that's going to carry the fuck out of you. Manipulator of Odds. Re-rolls. If you roll minimum on the die, it re-rolls. So more likely than not, you're not going to be rolling min on any die. Like, if you roll min, you have super bad luck. And like I said, consistency is important. And this consistently reduces the chance of you rolling minimum by half, which is great. The stances give you 4 different decks to use that give +2 to whatever die type the stance is using. Oh my god, Puppeteer is just so strong. And it has something that I particularly like in a page, where it resists one damage type and then resists another type of stagger. So she resists slash damage, which also resists the stagger, like it reduces the amount of stagger you take naturally, and she reduces blunt stagger, which is also great. So she actually goes, even though she doesn't buff allies, like she's just really strong. Like she can solo so many fights in the game. Wait, I forgot the one. I forgot Maxim. Oh no. So Maxim, he's the tanky boy. He gets 2 protection for having his charge up. And whenever he has Trini charge, he deals 50% more damage with attacks. And he also receives 30% less damage from everything. So you get to Trini charge, you're instantly doing 1.5 times the amount of damage, so 50% bonus once again. And you're taking 30% less. And then you combine that with his ground smash, which isn't summation. It's a mass attack. Oh, it is summation. But with the +20 charge, it's +10. So, at the very minimum, you're rolling Trini 3 to 32 on a summation. And I know I'm not supposed to count in attributions, but you can attribute him, so that's a lot higher if you actually attribute him correctly. That being said, but just with how naturally, how much damage and how tanky he can get, while he's not S tier, he is high A tier. Like, even though he doesn't have Emotion 3, right? Like, he's just a 2. Yeah, if he had Emotion 3, I feel like Maxim would be S tier. But he doesn't have Emotion 3, unfortunately. Like, Emotion 3 speed dies. So, next, we have Zao. But, Mom, I don't want to be a crispy nugget. That's too damn bad, because with Zao in the game, everything is a crispy nugget. And I'm just going to go and put that right there before I keep on talking. Zao, speed 3, of course. Fervor, good, once again. Force of a Wildfire. On melee hit, inflict 1 burn and Force of a Wildfire, a status that lasts 2 turns. If an enemy with Force of a Wildfire is staggered, it gets to inflict burn equal to half the amount of burn on the enemy to every one of their ally. Zao gets to spread around the fire. And 9 Children of the Dragon, the Ego Manifestation? Oh my god, her mass attacks that she can get that can actually charge pretty quickly as long as you're playing smartly makes Zao so much of a threat. This, the constant DPS and constant burn that Zao can inflict, puts her high S tier. Like, wait. Like here. This is Zao's own unique thing. Burnt nuggets. Because whatever Zao is fighting will be a burnt nugget by the end of it. Oh, okay, let me just... Hold up. Hold up. Wait a second. Oh no. Oh no! There we go. Now this one is burnt nuggets. I should do that when I dragged off. Oh, no. Yeah, some burnt nugget. That's where Zao belongs. Zhao is up there by herself in this category, in my opinion. Zhao is just so much better than everything else in the game, I feel like. Like, her power spike is so big. And next, we have the pretty boy himself, Jan. Boy, Jan. Probably one of the second strongest support character after Nikolai, in my opinion. The speed die +3 is great. The fact that Jan is the only character in the game that can inflict erosion also shouldn't be overlooked, considering erosion is just better burn. So he can't inflict a crazy amount of it, most like 2 a turn, which is fine considering how strong it is. But he also has the breakdown, so he gets +1. Okay, let me read this. If the character has more breakdown and normal pages than awakening ones, all dice gain +1. If breakdown pages outnumber awakening pages by 2 or more, he gets to increase his damage output by even more. Unfortunately, if you're playing smart, you're going to have nothing but awakening pages, which is unfortunate for Jan, which does kind of make this a useless passive, unless you're intentionally doing something like Tif Exodia, where you want the red cards, or Apocalypse Bird Exodia, where you want the red cards. The thing that makes Jan really good is this Messenger. Like Messenger and Erosion. Messenger allows him to either let an ally get extra strength, draw a card, restore a light, or they get protection. And at the beginning of the game, you only get to get one out of all of those options, and it's random. You don't get to choose, unlike the Trigrams that you get later on. But that being said, it's still really good because at emotion level 3, you get 2 out of 4 to choose from. You only still get 1, but that gives you more availability. The only thing that feels bad is, once again, RNG. You can get Light Restore 3 times in a row at the very beginning of the game, which is useless considering most of the time you're going to be popping emotion levels every turn, so you won't actually get any Light Restore. That being said, you can also get Strength 3 times in a row, which is really good. So once again, the RNG there is strong, but thanks to the fact that he's at least giving some type of bonus if you need it, and the fact that he can deal erosion, puts him in a high A tier for me. Like, I think low S tier, just because of the inconsistency with the prescripts. If you could actually choose 1 out of the 4 to use every round, I feel like he'd be too strong, maybe, like up here with burnt nuggets, but, well, it's more like corroded nuggets at that point. But if you could control what prescripts, I think he'd be up here with the burnt nuggets, so you could choose who you wanted to really win a class, or whoever needed to tank stuff, whoever needed to draw. But unfortunately, you can't. So the RNG keeps him at low S tier for me. And next, Oliver. Ugh, Trigrams. Let me go ahead and get this out there. Trigrams, really good. Really good. Speed 3, of course, really good. Alpha Hannah. He gets tank stats for free. If he gets hit by somebody, if he gets hit by the same type of damage, he reduces it by half. So he gets to Endurian. And then the Troll Fixes, which honestly should be, which is really good. So it boosts the minimum roll of all die by +2. And at emotion level 3, it boosts the maximum roll by +1. So it does broaden the roll range, but it increases the rolls by default by +2. So that's basically a +2 to everything on the page, which is amazing. Like, that's a +2 to everything. Like, him by himself is so good. With passive attribution, he gets nutty. But just by himself, he's a low S tier in my opinion, because he gets emotion level, he gets Trigrams, already really good. Alpha Hannah, he gets free tank, and then Troll Fixes, +2 to everything. Like, that's amazing. So he's going, like, up here, like, right below Nikolai, because he's not as good as Nikolai, but he's really good. Next, my boy Harold. He's this weaker Oliver. Trigram still keeps him in S tier, but he goes down here at the bottom of S tier. So, Mirene. Mirene for Trigrams, and then Hannah for all. Whenever she gains Strength, Endurance, protection, or stagger protection through combat pages. It should be mentioned through combat pages. It gives the same status effect to a random other ally. So as long as you load her up with on hit, like gain this bonus, or at start of combat gain this bonus, you get to spread that out, like one extra copy of that effect to another ally, which is random, I may add, so it does lose some points there. Because it may go on someone who doesn't need it, that's already going to guarantee to win the classes, like for protection. But the fact that she can spread it out is amazing, and once again, is really good for me. I put her right here, right behind Nikolai, that just gives out the flat bonuses to everyone, without having to rely on hit or RNG. So next, the Red Mist in Gabura. Oh boy. Ego. Ego is a thing. Retaliate's a thing. The Strong is infinite speed die. Guaranteed to trade whoever you want. Speed die 3. It should be noted on every other card. Talking about how many speed die is the main thing. The main focus on Gabura is the fact he's fucking legendary. And that being said, bam. She also likes to burn the nuggets, but she does it by squashing their existence and causing so much friction they explode. Unlike Zhao, who just wants them burnt to a crisp. Gabura wants them to explode with such ferocity that are, of course, Red Mist. So for me, that is instant burnt nuggets. Tier, which I guess is S+. We're just calling it burnt nuggets. But, oh my god. Everything here, everything about Gabura is too strong. Like, it's so good. And once again, once you get into passive attribution, she gets even insaner. Because you take Neo's Prowess, get the infinite speed die, and get guaranteed +5 on every die on that piece. Oh my god! The insanity! Now, Philip. Philip again, I should add. How do I add a tier here? That's normal Philip. Let's go ahead and add a roll above this. And I'm you, but crispier tier. Because that's what Blue Reverberation Ensemble Philip is. He's normal Philip, but crispier. He literally has the same passives. The only difference being Overheat and Nuevo Fabric. I'm going to talk about this passive here in a second. But Overheat, when he's burned, offensive guy gain +1 power. Nuevo Fabric was to take 1 to 2 less damage and stagger damage from attacks. So it's really hard to stagger anyone that has that, and it's hard to deal damage. His AoE, Scorching Desperation, really good. Rekindled Strike, it has the whole problem, for me at least, 2 die. Once again, a single offensive die that does a lot of damage. And he can use Blazing Strike just like normal Philip. So he's literally just normal Philip, but crispy. Which is fine. But he's more likely to run away still, unfortunately, in my opinion. But next we have Eileen. So, Smoke. She's this the worshiper with a speed die +3. And whenever using Smoke combat page, everything page is +1 power. And she gets to give all allies +1 light, but the mass attack kinda sucks. 5 to 9 individual for piercing. And like, it is interesting that it makes you feel like a boss that you can use it every 3 rounds. But once again, kinda weird. Like, I'm gonna put her in high A tier. She kinda has very low HP compared to everyone else. Like, she's supposed to be the minion master. Same with the Puppeteer, ironically, but he at least has HP. Give me a second. Some spoke to me. Next, the Tank. Tank with no endured resistances. Rainbow Fabric, and prep at the main disc. Offensive die get +1 to 2 power on a target with bleed. So, I want Greta to be good. But the problem with a lot of the ensemble members is that they're made to have passives put on them with passive attribution. That being said, Greta's unique card. Oh my god, Hod. It is Hod's wet dream. All the bleed damage a Hod can inflict, especially if you have the target, if you use red Sues on the same turn where the target can't lose, like no one loses bleed stacks. Tackle Mount can absolutely end someone's day. Unfortunately, once again, the tank page, it's only the tank page because it has 15 more HP than the next highest page. And that's literally the only thing that makes it tank, besides Rainbow Fabric. And while prep at the main disc is a nice addition, it's not consistent, unfortunately. Like, you can consistently put bleed stacks on someone, but once again, you have to make sure they have the bleed. Which, if they roll high and you fail the class, next turn you're already losing out on the +1 to 2 power. Which, as much as I love Greta, kind of makes her an A tier. With Eileen here. Like, higher than Eileen, because you can at least build a good deck, I think, with her. Now, I also have the problem with... I actually think I'm going to make another tier here right quick. Called... I'm good because I wear clothes. Because that's about how it feels for most of the ensemble members. I'm actually going to do this from this, where they're not S tier. They're just really good because they have the close passive and 3 speed die. Which is kind of unfortunate considering how much the ensemble members are really hyped up with their individual stories. Next we have Bremen. Bremen's neat because he gets to inflict 2 feeble and paralysis to people. He... On hit of a melee page, he activates one of the following effects. Only once per scene, by the way. Inflict feeble, paralysis, stagger damage, and stagger resist. And then, of course, improved drumming, which is a common for all the Bremens. That on a successful blunt attack, you inflict 1 fragile. Needless to say, for a character that's supposed to buff and support allies, like most of the other Bremens did. Like, Meow was great. All the other musicians always seem to buff and help allies. He goes, and I'm good because I wear clothes too. Which is unfortunate. So next up, taking a little break from the Blue Ensemble, to do Bina. Whew. Bina. Oh my god, let's look at this. You see, he even has a passive called Bina. Unique cards, and you can't actually modify her deck. Incomplete Orbiter. Card draw is not a problem with Bina. See, it's a +3. Her Endured. See, it is the only page that has ineffective stagger, by the way. She can tank slash pages all day long. The only thing that sucks about Bina is that you can't move her around, and the fact that you can't change her deck how you'd want to play it. Like, I can think of a couple things I'd want to change about her deck, but unfortunately you can't because of her passive. That being said, even though I love Bina, don't get me wrong, I'm a Bina simp. I'll admit that. I'm a simp for Bina. Unfortunately, the fact she's only good on 1 floor, meaning you can't move her around and you can't actually use her for passive attributions, puts her at low S tier. But that's just because of how good she is. She's still super great. The only thing that hurts her, like I said, is that you can't modify her deck and you can't move her around. Like, she could do better on another floor, probably. But this is me being hypercritical because I want this tier list to have some, like, validity for me, at least. Because I love Bina, and anyone you can ask anyone that's watching any of my streams of Bina. I fucking love Bina, but like, This is some stuff I'd change about it to make her feel more like an actual incomplete orbiter, and it feels bad to put her below Burr, but that's where she belongs. Like, don't get me wrong, degraded sock rape is great. I'd put her, like, right here. Right behind the team buffers and Puppeteer, because Puppeteer is too strong. Next up, the Clown. Oswald. Climax. Fucking law. Clowns, they just do everything in one way or the other. So, you would think I put him and I wear clothes so I'm good. But, unfortunately, he has splendid performance, which is actually pretty neat. As long as you use a page that has 3 or more different types of die, everything on that page gains +1 power. Which is actually probably one of the better passives for all of the ensemble members. And the only thing hurting him is that Climax is Climax. Oh my god, hitting that 50 summation feels great, but hitting that 1-point summation feels awful. And once again, as I stated, with Rip Space, I dislike RNG, so even though I was just talking him up, I realized that I have to put him, I'm good because I wear clothes tier, which sucks. So next, Tanya. You know, the new red mist, quote-unquote. The girl that tried to take over her spot. She is the true tank of the game. Recover 100 HP on death and fully restore stagger resist. This negates the fact that some death passives, the person can still get nuked. She comes out of stagger once you kill her, which is amazing. And then we have Beatdown, which suffers from I target one person and I'm a single die. But at least it reduces the power on all the upcoming damage you're probably going to eat to the face by 5, which is really nice. And then once again, Pitch Black Pulverizer. It has 3 die, so it actually trades and gets you a motion, which is great. And it deals damage on hit, which means you can ignore some people that have really high resistances. You can just cheese them by inflicting damage that's true damage that they can't stop, which is really great. Tanya, actually, just with how tanky she is, she gets to leave the I'm good I wear clothes group and actually go up here right behind Bina, which is surprising. Like, in my opinion, she's not as good as Oliver, but she gets to leave I'm good because I wear clothes, which is great. Next, Puppeteer. Straining strings. Only really heals one ally because you only get 1 Puppeteer strings. So at least you get to recover an ally 20 HP. That's neat. And you get to inflict bind on opponents. That's great. It's individual too, at least. But for his passives, Puppeteer, it's really good. He gets a super buff on ally basically, but unfortunately, he gets to go with the Clown. I want Greta to be the top of the clowns. There we go. Next, Elena. So Elena, once again, kind of suffers from the same thing as everyone else, the I'm good at wear clothes syndrome. But whenever you recover 3 or more HP, she gets Strength and Exceed. And while this can only trigger once, it's basically a guaranteed +1 strength for the whole game, considering that she heals on hit. And she has so many ways to recover HP. And both of her mass attacks are great. Especially if she's healed by at least 20 HP, which is more likely than not going to happen. This becomes a 4-cost mass attack that's individual with big chunky roll on the second die. That gains her more HP, so she's guaranteed to get the strength bonus even next round. Elena actually gets to break through with Tanya here and break out of the I'm good because I wear clothes. Look at her. She broke free. She actually goes ahead of Eugen. I think she goes behind to Tanya. I think she's actually more unkillable than Tanya is with the right build, so to speak, deck-wise. But she's actually more unkillable than Tanya is, and that's saying something. Next up, Roland. Black Silence. Boy, kinda sucks that we can't do anything, but all dice on every third combat page gain +2 power, and that's great. And it even comes with a neat little countdown counter, so you can keep track of what page number you're on. Either be 1, 2, or 3, thanks to how Furioso works, which is his other unique card, which I can't sew from here, unfortunately. But all his deck is super good. Like, as long as you Durandal and get that strength bonus, like, there's so much card draw innately in everything here that he gets to go up. Okay, he's not burnt nuggets. We're gonna... Wait a second. He gets to go in this tier. This is his own tier. Wait, never mind. I changed my mind. His tier? There we go. That's his tier. Roland is Ham Ham Pang Pang. And I will fight anyone that says he's not Ham Ham Pang Pang. Actually, now that I think about it. He already gets to go Ham Ham Pang Pang. Suda and Master get to go to Ham Ham Pang Pang together. Sound good? Sounds good. Next up, Argalia, Blue Sicko. Highest amount of HP on a page besides Greta. So, he has... For a final boss, I felt he was disappointing. But the meme, the opponent, like, the boss, and then the boss, when you unlock him as a playable character, is no more applicable than right here. This is the true definition of the boss being strong when you don't have control over him versus the boss being himself whenever you don't. So Speed I3, Close of course, and Resonance. When using a melee combat page, if the difference between the target's speed and the target's vibration is 1 or less, all dice on the page gain +2 power. At the start of that, he gets to draw 2 extra pages. And he takes no damage from range. Like, no damage whatsoever. So, I will admit, I haven't got to play them much. But I know that since they added in the new stuff and they changed the vibration effect a little bit, he has very good economy. Like, when it comes to card draw and stuff. Like, he doesn't really run out of stuff to do, so to speak. But I don't think he's super OP like some of the other stuff. Like, I'll actually put him right here after Elena. Elena. Okay. Enough of that. Next, Pluto. I'm gonna be honest, the RNG with the contracts, and the fact that this is probably one of the crappier mass attacks in the game. Like, I think Pluto, unfortunately, like, I actually liked old Pluto better, where you lost a little bit of HP, but you got the bonuses, but, like, I'm gonna put Pluto down here. He's not even animated. Like, I feel like Pluto may actually be the worst of all the ensemble members. Like, he doesn't even get range pages. His fight is nothing but ranged. Like, he gets this and it's ranged, but, like, it's a mass attack. So it doesn't even count as range. Like, I'm so confused about why they gave him the cards that they gave him. Like, he seems so cool in the fight. And both versions of the fight, but damn. But damn! Pluto! What the fuck? But what the f- Okay. Okay, but that is my take on what I believe to be the tier list for the gold pages, the object the art for Library of Ruina. Feel free to say I'm wrong. This is my personal opinion, and I'm halfway sit posting. So, that being said, go ahead. You're free to, I'll post a link to this in the description. You're free to make your own list and put it in the comments and let me know all about how I'm wrong. But y'all have a good life and a good night, and hopefully I'll see y'all if this turns out good again. Later.